Have you ever thought about this invisible shield the law gives you? It's like this personal, legal, protective bubble that's all around you, your stuff, and yeah, even your reputation. Today, we're going to demystify that whole thing. So, what happens when someone, pops that bubble? Well, let's find out.
I mean, think about it for a second. Let's say someone spreads a really nasty rumor about you online. Or what if your neighbor's late-night construction is just making your home totally unbearable? Now, these things aren't technically crimes, right? But they are definitely wrongs. So what can you do? What's your recourse? Well, the answer is in something called the law of torts. It's basically the rule book for when things go wrong, but, nobody's going to jail over it. And yep, that's exactly what a tort is. It's a civil wrong. It's basically the law's way of saying, hey, if you harm someone, you are legally on the hook to make it right. And making it right, that usually means paying compensation. This is the system, the whole framework that keeps our personal bubbles from getting burst.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we're going to break it down into 5 key areas. First up, we'll talk about the bubble closest to you, your own body. Then we'll see how that bubble expands to cover your stuff and your space. After that, we'll touch on your reputation and your peace of mind. Then there's the big one, this sort of carelessness catch-all. And finally, we'll wrap it up with a super common special case, car accidents.
All right, Section 1. Let's start with the absolute core of that bubble, you. Your physical self. This first set of rules is all about protecting your most fundamental right? The right to control your own body, to be safe from harm, and, well, to decide who gets to come into your personal space. So let's kick things off with a classic you've probably heard of, assault. But here's the thing that trips a lot of people up. Assault isn't actually about being hit, not at all. It's about the fear of being hit. So if someone swings a fist at you and you flinch, that act of creating that reasonable fear, that is the assault, even if they never ever lay a finger on you.
Battery, on the other hand, that's all about the contact. It's the intentional, unwanted physical touch. And the crucial point here is that it doesn't have to be some big, dramatic punch. Nope. Even an unwanted tap on the shoulder can technically be a battery. The main idea is that the protective bubble around your body has been physically breached without your permission.
So let's put it all together. Here's the key difference in a nutshell. Assault is the threat. It's the fear. Battery is the follow-through. It's the actual contact. It's pretty simple when you think about it that way, right? You can totally have an assault without a battery, but, and this is kind of interesting, you can also have a battery without an assault. Imagine getting hit from behind and you never even saw it coming. No fear, but definitely contact.
Okay, the last one for our personal bubble is something called false imprisonment. This is pretty much what it sounds like. Someone unlawfully restricts your freedom to move around. And it doesn't mean you have to be in an actual jail cell. Nope. Being locked in a room or even just being blocked from leaving by a credible threat, that can count. It's all about protecting your basic right to just move freely. Okay, so we've got your physical self secured. Now let's expand that protective bubble outwards a bit. Because it doesn't just cover your body, right? It also surrounds your stuff and your space. The places and things you have a right to control. And the most straightforward example of this is trespass to land. It's simple. If you go onto someone's property without their permission, that's a trespass. And here's the key thing to remember. No actual damage has to happen. You don't have to break anything. The simple act of being there without permission is the violation of their rights. That's it.
But, okay, what about a trickier situation? Imagine someone has permission to be on your property, like, say, a plumber you hired. But then they do something they are absolutely not supposed to do, like snooping through your desk drawers. So does the law have a way to handle that? Oh, it sure does. And it has this really old-school fancy Latin name for it. Trespass ab initio.
So here's how the law solves this little puzzle. It's pretty clever, actually. The moment that plumber starts doing something wrong, the law basically hits a rewind button. It goes back in time and cancels their permission. Poof, gone. So they're treated as if they were a trespasser from the very second they walked in the door. Their initial lawful entry becomes unlawful after the fact. Cool, right?
All right, so we've protected our bodies and we've protected our property. But that bubble, it also covers things you can't physically touch, like your reputation and your right to just have some peace and quiet. This next part is all about protecting your intangible self.
And that brings us to defamation. This is the tort that kicks in when someone publishes a false statement about you, something that hurts your good name. It's really all about protecting your reputation from being unfairly trashed in front of other people.
And defamation basically comes in two main flavors. On one side, you've got libel. The easy way to remember this is to think of it as permanent defamation. So, things that are written down, posted online, recorded on video, stuff that can last forever. And because it can spread so easily and stick around, the law generally treats libel a lot more seriously. Then, on the other side, you have slander. That's the temporary stuff, spoken words, gestures. And with slander, you usually have to prove you actually suffered a specific financial loss because of what was said.
Okay, so what about protecting your peace of mind? Your right to just enjoy your own space? Well, that's where the tort of nuisance comes in. Now, unlike trespass, which is a direct entry onto your land, nuisance is an indirect interference. Think about things like constant, crazy loud noises from next door, or foul odors, or really anything from a neighboring property that just stops you from being able to enjoy your own home.
Okay, now for the big one. The one that covers almost everything else. What if the harm wasn't intentional at all? What if it was just an accident? Something caused by someone else's carelessness. This, my friends, is where we find the most common tort of them all: negligence. You can think of it as the universal shield against just plain thoughtlessness.
Yeah, believe it or not, most tort cases are about negligence. And it's all built on this really simple but super powerful idea that we all owe a basic duty of care to the people around us, a duty not to cause them harm. So when you're driving, you have a duty to other drivers. When a shop owner mops the floor, they have a duty to put up one of those little yellow signs to warn you it's wet. It's everywhere. So if you want to successfully claim someone was negligent, you have to prove this chain of 4 specific things. You can think of it like a 4-step test. First, you have to show there was a duty of care. Step 1. Second, you have to prove that duty was breached. They were careless. Step 2. Third, you have to connect the dots. Link that breach directly to your injury. That's causation. Step 3. And finally, step 4, you have to show you suffered actual damage. The key here is that if even one link in that chain is broken, the whole claim can fall apart. Okay, to really see how this all comes together in the real world, let's look at a special case that involves negligence pretty much every single day. Car accidents. This is an area where the law has actually created a very specific system to manage what is a super common and often really dangerous situation.
And the why behind laws like the Motor Vehicles Act is really captured right here. It's all about protecting victims. Simple as that. The law gets that a serious accident can be financially devastating. So wants a system in place to make sure that the person who gets hurt can be compensated, even if the person who is at fault doesn't have a penny to their name.
So how does the system do this? Well, it focuses on the third party. Now, I know that sounds like a super technical legal term, but really, it's just about everyone else who's involved who isn't the owner of the car or their insurance company. We're talking about other drivers, passengers in other cars, pedestrians on the street, and yeah, even passengers in the insured car itself most of the time. Basically, it's anyone who could be a victim.
And this right here is the crucial piece of the puzzle. The law makes it mandatory for every single vehicle owner to have third-party insurance. This isn't a suggestion, it's not a nice to have, it's the law. And what this does is it creates a huge financial safety net. It guarantees that there's a pool of money available to compensate victims, which is what makes the whole system of tort law actually work in the real world for everyone on the road.
So there you have it. From a simple threat to a trespass on your property, all the way to a careless act, the law of torts creates this incredible, comprehensive, protective bubble around each and every one of us. It governs our interactions and, really, it holds us accountable to one another. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. Now that you can kind of see this bubble, how does it change the way you look at your daily interactions?